November 14th, we've got the People's Spaceship, NASA, the Space Shuttle Era and Public Engagement with author Amy Page Kaminsky. And it's a new book about the development of the space shuttle. And Amy Kaminsky is a former NASA employee. I think you'll find it quite interesting. And then on the 21st of November, we have author Eric Berger, who's going to be talking about his new book called Re-Entry, SpaceX, Elon Musk, and the reusable rockets that they launched the new age with. And if you've ever had a chance to read his initial book called Liftoff about the development of SpaceX, fascinating. So you're going to be hearing some great things about that. Then we'll have our annual year in review with Larry Boyle. That'll be on December 5th. And we're working on 2025. As I said, I'm working with Trey Carlson, the KSC Chief of Staff, who's going to be giving us a talk on the emergence of Kennedy Space Center, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station as a spaceport after the close of the shuttle program. Very interesting presentation. We're just trying to line up the date, and I've got a number of other great presenters that we're looking at and hopefully have them all lined up for you. So we hope you can join us. I know you'll enjoy some of these presentations that are upcoming. So now I want to move to our program and turn things over to our guest speaker. So as I said, tonight, we're going to be featuring a startup company called Vaya Space, and they are doing some really innovative things. And we've got an early career engineer who's going to be joining us tonight, Josh Dzugen. Josh is an electrical engineer at Vaya Space. So it'll be great to have a perspective of someone like him. He works to apply his expertise to advance innovative space launch technologies. And he has a passion for space exploration here. So you're going to hear a lot about what he's doing personally and what the company is doing as well. And it's my pleasure to introduce Josh. Josh, thank you and welcome.
Thanks, Brad. Thanks for having us here. Let me get the presentation pulled up.
Okay. There you go. Your same issue to my head. Okay.
All right. So I work for Vaya Space here in Cocoa, Florida, is where we're headquartered. And a little bit about myself. I'm an electrical engineer specializing in communications, networking and RF communications, and flight termination for the company. That's where I specialize the most at and is utilized. Here's an overview of our company. We were founded and created in 2017 by Sid Gutierrez, a former space shuttle commander and NASA's first US-born Hispanic astronaut. Launch Command's final word to Sid at liftoff were Vaya con Dios versus his traditional Godspeed. And this is how Vaya gets its name from Vaya con Dios, which means God be with you instead of Godspeed. It's the first time they've spoken in Spanish. Vaya Space's fuel is non-toxic, non-explosive, and comprised of 99% recycled plastic, HDPE. Plastic pollution continues to increase. It is our goal to take that off the planet, approximately 7.9 metric tons per launch. Greater than 90% of plastic ends up in landfill or the ocean. Vaya Space's fuel grains are made of 99% recycled plastics. And Vaya's Dauntless Rocket, our emissions are primarily water vapor and CO2. Here's a little bit about our technology. Our orbital launch is dedicated to launch for small satellites, responsive launch for government customers and constellation operators. And we also have custom flight profiles. So if you have a certain parking orbit, we can hit it wherever you need to. We also have defense applications, missile propulsion, air-breathing, hypersonic, maneuverable, and missile targets. In-space propulsion is Earth orbit, cislunar, interplanetary, debris avoidance and maneuverability, storable and restartable. So here's our Dauntless launch vehicle. It's our Block 1 vehicle. It's comprised of three main um, components: our fairing, our second stage, and our first stage. The launch vehicle class is a small to light lift, high capacity. We have two stages, and we are a hybrid propulsion system, HDPE, and LOX as our oxidizer. Our engine cycle is supercritical oxygen expander cycle. Our total length is 60 feet. Our stage diameter will be 121 inches, and our second stage diameter is 59 inches, or 1.5 meters. Our vehicle performance characteristics is on our first stage, we'll have six 94.5 kilonewton LOX Star 3D engines. And on our second stage, we'll have one 107.8 kilonewton LOX Star 3D engine for vacuum. And our payload to LEO will be 500 plus kilograms. Vaya's Dauntless Rocket program is designated to provide precision orbital deployment services for small to medium satellites with an overall payload capacity of over 1,100 kilograms to LEO. Our launch services are uniquely positioned to service both the initial constitution of small satellite constellations and border satellite replenishment market. The sizing and low-cost structure of the Dauntless rocket allows it to be very profitable service in these large and recurring markets in an efficient manner with an anticipated launch cadence of one per week, or approximately 50 launches a year, 50 to 52. Larger rockets are not well suited to replenish constellation satellites that have to be deorbited at the end of life and must be replaced in very precise orbits. Here's our in-space propulsion, focused on propulsion systems to rapidly maneuver satellites to avoid space debris and active threats, deorbit satellites, and extend satellite operation life. High thrust for rapid dynamic response, long-term storage on orbit, adaptable to standard ESPA fittings. Our payload mass per kilograms, our max payload configuration is about 670 kilograms. Our vehicle wet mass per kilogram will be 161. Our delta V will be about 540, and our operational environment will be Earth orbit and translunar. In-space propulsion systems offerings will focus on building propulsion systems to deorbit satellites, extend satellite lives. Sorry about that. Oh, no, I didn't. Rapidly maneuver satellites to avoid space debris and threats. The company believes this market segment will be led by the US government. There's a potential interest in a hybrid engine to provide in-space propulsion capability to allow satellites to rapidly avoid debris and other potential threats. Vaya Space has submitted a white paper addressing this capability to NASA. Vaya is also holding conversations with NASA on the potential use of hybrid engines for planetary and deep space missions to potentially support programs such as NASA's lunar and Mars ascent vehicle. We also have a defense division. The DoD is interested in Vaya's Vortex hybrid missile engine technology for several reasons. We have enhanced range, multiple burns resulting in increased range over traditional solid rocket motors. This is crucial for reaching distances or time-sensitive targets and improving the effectiveness of missile systems. Flexibility and precision provide more precise control over the thrust and trajectory. We also have restart capability. The Vaya Space Vortex hybrid rocket engines can also be stopped and restarted multiple times during one flight. This capability allows for enhanced range and greater flexibility in engaging with targets. Environmental considerations designated to use environmentally friendly and non-toxic propellants. This aligns with the efforts to reduce the environmental impacts of military operation. Countermeasures and survivability. The ability to throttle and vary thermal signatures can help missiles evade enemy countermeasures, improving survivability and mission success. For safety, we increase safety and storage handling. We also have retired U.S. General Robert Abrams and retired General Wesley Clark on our board, which helps with our defense division. Here's our Army DevCom CRADA. Vaya Space signed a cooperative research and development agreement to further explore Vaya's Vortex hybrid engines. The CRADA focuses on a 10-foot diameter missile engine that fits in an existing AVMC test missile, accessing field handling and storage considerations for fuel and oxidizer. CRADA allows the Army to directly engage with Vaya Space and to utilize the Army resources to support the initiative. We also have an Air Force hypersonic propulsion study. Vaya Space has been awarded a Phase 1 small business innovation research contract with the Air Force Research Laboratory, strengthening A2AD penetration with hybrid rocket ejector ramjet hypersonic propulsion. Proposed engine combined vortex hybrid engine ramjet engine, ram air secondary combustion afterburner, allows dynamic throttling plus active aero and thrust vector control. Phase 1 is feasibility study of technology. Analysis and initial design is well underway. Phase 2 in 2025 will build and test prototype engine, discussions with Air Force Global Strike Command, planning and cost and schedule. Vaya Space is our headquarters here in Cocoa, Florida. Our headquarters and manufacturing facility are strategically situated approximately 15 miles from Kennedy Space Center on the Space Coast. Housed within the facility are advanced high-capacity computing resources dedicated to the intrinsic physics, modeling, and digital engineering. The manufacturing and testing infrastructure positions you seamlessly advance from prototyping to production. The Vaya campus is comprised of 3 properties within a 4-mile radius, including 2 test facilities, 1 full-scale and 1 lab-scale, and 35,000 square feet of combined indoor space. Here's some of our in-house manufacturing capability, focused on areas of key differentiation, engines, and composite structures. Here's our stage 1 oxidizer tank, which is fully composite. Here's our composite winder in our top right. Our 3D printer, which we make our fuel grains with. And the bottom left picture is a small scale tank Pathfinder being wound, and the bottom right is a fuel grain being printed. This is one of our test facilities at the top for 5,000 pounds of thrust, and our outdoor test facility, which can do up to 30,000 pounds of thrust for our orbital class engines. We were also awarded Launchpad 13 at Cape Canaveral for our Dauntless Rocket. We will be sharing this with Phantom Space as well, but this launch pad is also known as LZ1 and 2. So it's a very historic launch pad. So we are working on creating our own batteries in-house. Vaya Space is creating our own batteries for cost savings. Space batteries are very expensive, and we also get approximately a 33% mass savings, and we hope to get power density increase of roughly 30 to 40%. We'll be creating everything but the cells for this battery system. So we'll be doing all the battery management system, the casing, all in-house, except the cells. And these will be lithium batteries.
Okay, Josh, ready to take some questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes. You can stop sharing. Great, great. Uh, let's start a little bit about you first. I know you gave a little bit of your background, but just wanted to know, uh, what got you interested in becoming an electrical engineer, and were you always interested in possibly doing something with space?
So my first passion was not engineering. It was actually pharmaceuticals. I wanted to be a pharmacist. And then I got into the chemistries and I decided it wasn't for me. Physics was a lot more fun. So
I can agree.
I, yeah. So I changed over to engineering, saw my brother going through it. And I can always remember as a kid seeing my first shuttle launch. And I'm like, these are astronauts going to space. I can really make a difference in helping people and making space travel safer eventually. So that's my passion.
Right, right. And what made you decide on electrical engineering?
It was challenging. I didn't know exactly what engineering I wanted to go into, but for me, electricity is something you can't touch.
Right.
So that I think that's what drove me to it. And growing up, it was always put your finger in a light socket. It just kept driving me back to it. Seeing if my hair could stick up.
Absolutely.
It's that
And when
challenge.
when you graduated, where did you look? Had you thought of a startup, or were you looking at some existing companies or even NASA?
I was looking all over from NASA to a couple of the other space launch companies around. Just not even in the space industry, even some of the defense contractors going into aerospace, even aviation. And then Via Space, I came in through their intern program.
Oh, okay.
Did 3 months through their intern program, and then they kept me and became a full-time employee through the graduating their intern program.
And in terms of starting the job, did you? I remember as an entry level engineer myself, I didn't think I knew how to do anything. What was your initial day? What were your initial days like, and how how did and especially a new company work to get a brand new engineer up and running?
Um, at first, it was they were seeing what I can do, and my boss at the time asked me, what areas did you focus in? Where's your strong suit? So my focus going through school is RF communication. Uh, that's been my passion. So they put me in communications, and then they're like, okay, you could do that. So now what challenges you? Where's your weak spot? And they really helped me be a well-rounded engineer. And they surround you with great people. So my mentor now, he is amazing. Any problem I have, I can go to him, and there's no challenge we can't overcome together.
Good approach. Yeah, absolutely. And so in terms of you know your skill sets, did your electrical engineering degree prepare you for what you faced as a start? You're smiling, so
Oh, school is, going through school, I would say is about 20% of your actual career. It's a lot of on the job training. It gives you the fundamentals to solve problems. Then it's a lot of problem solving from there, and how to solve the problem, and build what you need to build, make what you need to make.
right,
It
right.
gives you that tools, and now you have to build your toolbox even bigger.
And how big of a company is Via Space?
We're roughly 45 to 50 employees.
Okay, so it's fairly small right now.
Yes, sir.
So that means you're probably getting your hands into a lot of different things. I mean, I started at a big company like Northrop and with a lot of engineers, so you did something very specific. At a small company, you're probably doing a lot of everything.
Yes, sir. Yeah. In the electrical department, there's two of us.
Oh, just two of you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's impressive.
So we share the load half and half.
Right, right. And in terms of some of the key projects you're involved in, I didn't realize Via Space was doing so many different things along with the Dauntless. Are you working specifically on that, or are you working some of the other areas you mentioned?
I specifically work the Dauntless uh, project. Um, that's my key area of focus right now. It's a quite large project,
Right.
uh, especially working uh, to develop all the components we need to develop, and doing all the testing we need to do for it. It's it's a lot to do.
Is there a target for first launch, or at this point?
I believe we are targeting, I'm not 100% on this one, 26, I believe.
Okay, maybe 2026. Okay. And you showed a photo of your engine test facility. Is that also in Cocoa?
Yes, sir. Everything is in Cocoa, 4 miles from our headquarters.
Wow, okay. And did you have to get, I wondered, did you have to get special approval from the town to do rocket testing?
I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I believe so.
Right, right. Have you had a chance to go out and see the rockets being tested?
Not in person yet.
Not in person, okay. There was a question I want to get to, and I don't know whether you're familiar with it, but let's see. Sadia asked about the company's business plan, and obviously a lot of it has to do with hybrid and being environmentally safe. But can you comment a little bit more on what the ultimate business plan was for when the company started up?
I believe it's, we're environmentally friendly is our main goal. Uh, we strive in being environmentally friendly, taking off plastic every launch. Every ounce of plastic we use in our rocket has been used and recycled. We get it
Wow.
completely recycled. It's not like we're, going out getting new plastic. Um, and from there, I believe the main focus on they're going to focus on the replenish market, and then where we can provide precision orbital insertion at a competitive cost is the goal, is replenishment for Constellation.
In terms of the technology you're using for recycling, is this a new technology or is it something that has been available? Because I had never heard of using recycled plastics for rocket engines,
I know we do hold some patents on the engines,
right?
so I believe it's a newer technology.
Right, right. So let me see a few other questions that we had submitted here. I think you actually touched on this. Your long-term annual target launch number or rate. I think you
It's going to be one per week, or about 50 a year.
Wow, that's a lot of launches.
Yes, sir.
And Someone asked, is the system, has the EPA been involved at all in any of this? Do you need approval from them, or, what role did they play?
So when it comes to for us, Vaya Space's fuel is eco-friendly, but we're also working with all the appropriate agencies for approval. Um, so it's more than just, like the EPA and all that. We have to go through multiple agencies for approvals.
Right, right. And what is Vias? I mean, I know you're a startup. You've got about 50 employees. Someone asked about activities for engaging students and other space enthusiasts. And obviously being here today on one of our talks, you're doing that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I'm actually going to be doing the Great American Teach-In at my nephew's elementary school on next month. And Vaya Space also works with the Michaelis Foundation and KSCIA to educate students in the space industry. And we also support local schools and colleges for their STEM programs. And we're also a founding member of the Space Coast Apprenticeship Program for the state of Florida. So we do a lot for engaging students.
Right, right. And do you do anything with high school students at this point? I mean, you were a college intern, but I'm just wondering if high school students are able to come in and do a little bit of internship as well.
I believe they do some with their local STEM programs.
Okay, great. Yeah. So in terms of your career, one of the questions has to do with any difficult problems that you had to solve initially during your early stages of your career. So did you have something that kept you up at night?
Well, I mean, being so early in my career, I really haven't come across a challenge yet, but I feel that I have a team that would be able to overcome any challenge that faces us. I like to surround myself with people that we can all come together, work together. It's that inner team communication we all have at Vaya. All the teams really respect each other.
Right, right. I don't know if you know the answer to this question. Sarah's asking there, I guess there is a new small business administration regional innovation cluster focused on lithium. You have any plans to leverage that kind of resource?
I'm not familiar with them.
Okay, maybe we can, yep, sounds good. Let me go through some of the other questions here. Uh, just from the perspective, and I know you're an engineer there and not one of the company leaders, but uh, how does it feel like to be entering into this launch market? There are obviously a lot of companies that are trying to build rockets, and it's not the easiest thing to do. And from your perspective, how is Vaya Space, positioning itself in this competitive market?
Very well in this competitive market. Like I touched on earlier, our main focus is the replenishment market, and our rapid launch cadence will have, so availability for launches will be very high. Um, and many small satellites that we can put into a specific orbit. We pride ourselves in being able to park in specific orbits and dropping off a payload where they need to go instead of preventing them from having to pay like a space tug on a ride share, and that's lost time and saving them money.
Right, right. Is there? I don't know whether is there like a launch price for you at this point? Um,
I'm not 100% sure on that.
yeah, it might be a little premature for that yet, but I'm sure someone's thinking about it. I want to see if our audience has some additional questions. Feel free to put them into the chat or put them into the Q&A, and I'll continue going through some of the questions that we got from, as that were submitted beforehand by everybody. Let's see. One question I know you're early in your career, and one thing about, about engineering that I tell all engineering students is, getting your degree is not the end, it's just the beginning of your learning. So this question has to do with something like that. How are you staying up to date with the latest trends and advancements in electrical engineering and aerospace? And do you specifically have any kind of specific or resources or habits that you use in order to do that?
Um, yeah, it's important to join local clubs and go to conferences to continue your education. And it's always important to educate yourself. Once you're done with school, it's just exactly what you said. You're not done learning. In this industry, it changes daily, especially in electronics. It's the next generation, the next big thing. So you have to stay up with the what's coming in. And conferences are a good way to do that. Uh, TED Talks are a good way to do that.
Right.
Some of the magazine subscriptions you can do, like Inside GNSS is a good one to learn from. Some of the AIAA events,
Right.
IEEE events as well.
Oh, very good. Yes. Uh, Now, you talked about doing some visiting to some pre-university schools. Are you doing anything with going back to college campuses and talking to the students there as well?
I have not personally done that. I've just done like elementary school so far.
Right. Do you take any hands-on activities with you?
I have. Last year, I took some of our rocket fuel with us because it's safe. You can grab it, you can touch it. I mean, the same thing what's on your
Oh,
bottle cap. And the kids thought that was amazing to, to touch, feel. They can really understand what's going on.
wow. So it is this new rocket fuel technology. I know it's like you said, it's a hybrid with a combination of liquid and solid fuel. Uh, can you share a little bit more about how that works?
Yeah, so our rocket fuel is HDPE, which is a high density polyethylene,
Okay.
recycled, and we use oxidizer of LOX. And then when they flow together, we also are throttleable and relightable. So you get the reliability of a solid plus a liquid byproduct, the controllability of a liquid byproduct.
Right. No, that's pretty amazing because that's always been one of the challenges with solid rockets is you can't throttle them.
Correct.
And how about the ignition itself? I guess if you can throttle this, you can control the combustion, which you have no control over in a regular solid rocket.
Correct. Yeah, we can relight multiple times.
You can read that. Wow. Okay. And and where did the initial concepts for this come from? Is that the your founder? Was he behind this, or maybe a few of the key other people who've been involved in coming up with this new technology?
I'm not 100% sure on that one. I know it's been a lot of people helping come up with the technology.
Right, right. No, sounds good. Let's see a few other questions here. Um, Okay, yes. You're talking about small satellite launches. So how is Vaya Space addressing the challenges of small satellite deployment?
I think for small satellite deployment, it's a rapidly growing market. So many
Right,
small satellites, you know, they need a specific orbit, and ride shares can be hard for them because on a ride share you just get dropped off again. You have to wait on a space tug. Um, we can be a fraction of the cost of some of the other launch providers and put you in a specific inclination. I think that's how
right,
we're targeting the market there.
right, right. No, sounds good.
And
And
and our
and Yeah, are you looking forward to a nice career there? I mean, it's obviously I've never worked at a startup, and I know sometimes they can be a little scary, but it sounds like Vaya Space is on a good path.
I am. I'm looking forward to a great career here. It's an amazing company to work for. It's probably the best company I've worked for out of the handful I've worked for so far. The staff's great. The upper management's amazing to work for. Everybody respects everybody. And the added benefit, I can take my dog to work every day too if I wanted to.
How is that?
It's amazing. On any given day, we have 5 to 10 dogs in the office.
Wow,
You know, you need a good stress break. You go pet a dog.
interesting approach. Yes, and I don't know if they have any good solutions for rocket technology either. So so one of the things you mentioned in your bio is that you just enjoying living on the Space Coast and taking in other rocket launches. Have you had some recent good experiences?
We get out, me and my wife, we get out to every rocket launch we can. And the last heavy launch was quite amazing to see. Um, but living on the Space Coast is truly unique. It's one of the most enjoyable aspects is the community comes together around us, space exploration.
Right.
It's truly inspiring to see.
I see a note in here from Bruce McKenzie. So members of the Huntsville, Alabama chapter of NSS were building and testing hybrid rockets years ago, perhaps in the 80s. So the fuel was LOX, just like you're using as the oxidizer, and a rubber similar to automobile tires launched from a balloon. Interesting.
Yeah,
Maybe
pretty cool.
Bruce will mention that if he can turn on the microphone if he's interested. But very fascinating. Uh, I hadn't heard about technologies like that, so that's great. Let me see a few other of the questions that we've got here. There we go. And let's see. So, as you're probably, as a young engineer, I remember working to talk to future engineers. So, what advice would you have to some young engineers who are considering working for a startup, working in the space business?
Follow your passion. Don't make work something miserable. I go to work every day. It's not a job, it's a field trip.
Oh, wow,
Um,
yes,
I enjoy what I do. Um, I don't mind going to work. I tell that to everybody. Uh, if you enjoy what you do, you'll love it. Make it a passion.
that that makes a big difference. Uh, there was someone who just Jim commented on that project. It was the Halo project, if he recalls correctly. So I'll have to find out a little bit more about that. And then I see another comment from Donald. Here in Texas, they have the Southwest Research Institute that's involved in testing and research in space fuels, materials. Does Vaya Space partner with any outside space testing and research companies?
For the electronics department, um, we're using an outside test facility right now, and we are uh, kind of partnered with them out in Huntsville, Alabama. We use Element Materials Labs.
Right. And see a question from Sarah is asking about what type of people is Viaspace hiring? Are you hiring mostly engineers only, or are they taking in other disciplines?
Um, we have engineers, and I mean we're mainly engineers there.
Mostly engineers. Okay.
Mm.
Yep. And let's see if I see any. There are a couple other questions here. Some additional information on that work that was done in Huntsville that Bruce is sharing. So I encourage everyone to take a look at that. Let's see. Let me see if the other questions that we have. So in what would you consider the the biggest key accomplishment right now from Vaya Space so far in your short time there?
Biggest accomplishment would be achieving consistent, repeatable, reliable, sustainable combustion in a hybrid rocket engine, which is pretty challenging to do.
Oh yes. And it's things are progressing well. It's looking like the work you're doing is demonstrating that you're going to be able to do this, right? It's looking
Yes,
pretty good, right?
yes, sir.
Okay, great. And so are there any future technologies that you'd like to share that are being developed at this point, or is there something coming down the road that's going to fundamentally change how we look at rocket technology?
Um, I think the way Vaya does a lot of stuff, uh, just the eco-friendly, I think we have a lot of ways we can change the industry
Right.
as a company. So we'll see what comes down the pipeline.
Okay. Uh, and is there any I'll say at this point, as you were looking back at yourself and you were growing up, did you think you'd be in any kind of position right now on the forefront of a new rocket technology?
No, sir. No. Honestly, I thought I'd be counting pills in a pharmacy right now.
That was interesting that you had planned to be a pharmacist at first. Uh, uh, and you mentioned about you liked physics a lot more than chemistry. So
Physics was a lot better. I went all the way to through quantum physics.
right.
So
Very good. Very good. Let me see if I see any additional questions here. Don't see any there. How about you have any final thoughts about your career, where you are, and what would you say to people, especially young people, about taking a chance on a startup versus going to a legacy space company?
I think working at a startup versus a legacy. I can't really speak on a legacy. I haven't worked at a legacy company, but at a startup, you have a lot of opportunity to grow and see your designs come to life because you're the forefront. You're the one actually designing the vehicle at this point. So uh, you have more opportunity to actually grow as an individual and an engineer.
Yep, very good. I saw another question in there. Did you ever do model rocketry as a hobby?
I did not. No. Um, my brother did for a little bit, went through college, but I did not.
Right. No, and sometimes rocketry comes to people later. I know for me, I that's something I always wanted to do. Uh, well, I don't say about it was just wasn't necessarily rocketry itself, but I like things that go very fast and make a lot of noise.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was always into airplanes.
Yes, yes. It's an exciting thing. I don't know how. Uh, I realize there are a lot of great things engineers are doing in other fields, but I don't know how they do anything but aerospace. So,
Yeah.
uh, any final thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
No, sir.
Well, let me see. I think I see another question in there. Yep. Oh, just a comment from Bruce about looking into we had a couple items come up about our space ambassadors program. So we covered that in the chat and everything, and so just want to make sure people are aware of that. So great. Josh, we really appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule to come here and share a little bit about your career, a little bit about Vaya Space, and certainly wishing you the great success in your career. It sounds like you're off to a really good start.
Thanks for having us, Bert. We appreciate it.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So everybody, let me go back to sharing my screen again as we close out for the evening. And let's see here. Let me do that. Oh, I'd put up your website there, so that's what I have there because I shared your website with everybody.
Thank you for doing that.
Yep. And everyone, I just want to remind you about I did change the one slide here about our uh, Rathblot scholarship. I'm sorry, the Rathblot competition. The deadline is March 4th, 2025 to enter. So hopefully we'll get some good entries there. So again, I'd like to thank Josh for coming out to talk a little bit about Vaya Space. It's always great to hear about a new company and also just get the perspective of someone early in their career in the space business. It's exciting, and I know he's off to a great start. So again, thanks, Josh, for joining us tonight. I also like to thank my colleague Fred Becker and my other colleague, Larry Ahern, Vice President of Chapters, for all they do to support our space forums. So everybody, thank you for attending tonight. We will see you again on November 14th when we will be doing several of our virtual book giveaways for the one on the 14th, the Space Forum on the 14th, and the Space Forum on the 21st. So you'll hear more about that as we get the invites out. So hopefully we'll join you there. You'll join us at that point. I do want to thank everybody for attending this evening. For those of you in our time zone, have a great evening. For those of you in tomorrow's time zones, have a great day. And everybody else, enjoy your weekend. We encourage you to stay safe